All right, hey there. Welcome to this week's episode of Revved Up Reflections. I'm just going to talk about old bikes today and whether, if you're considering an old bike or something modern vintage or retro, whatever, retro modern, whatever they're calling it now, I don't know. But some key things to consider. Older bikes, depending on how old you go, you can have sourcing problems on some of them. So before you even buy an older bike, price it out. How much is the bike going to cost you? How much are the repairs going to cost you? Because everything's going to need some repairs. And unless you're buying something that's already restored perfectly, or at least a running restoration, which is probably better running restoration because it already runs. It might cost slightly more, but things to consider when you go to look at the bike, like you do every other bike. Change the sprockets, drive system, tires. Are the fork seals leaking? Does it make any weird noises? Does it shift through all the gears? Is the clutch smooth? Carburetion's good. What's the inside of the gas tank look like? What's cosmetic wise? How is it cosmetic overall? Does it need painting? Or the wheels decent? Are the spokes tight? Just on and on and on. You just realize that your 1975 bike isn't gonna be the same as 2015 bike, or just say 2024 bike. It ain't even gonna be close. But guarantee you this: you ride your 1975 bike somewhere, and people are going to be gathering around looking at it. If it's just amazed that you're riding this old bike, which truth is isn't really that old. I guess it is relative. It's all relative about what age it is, but 1975, that's a long time ago. And things, naturally things have gotten better since then. Gone to liquid cooling, transmissions have changed, electronics have changed, handling's changed somewhat, tire technology's changed, brake technology's changed. So just realize if you're buying an older bike, the brakes aren't going to be as good. Your suspension isn't going to be as good, and so on and so on. So things to consider. Like I said, how many bikes did they make? Was it a very popular model that they sold a lot of? Well, if they did, parts availability is going to be a lot better than it's some model they only made for 2 years or one or 2 years. You're going to play hell getting parts for those things unless you got a really good source for them. I like old bikes, but I've been doing this a long time, and I've ridden a lot of different bikes: modern, old, sport bikes, cruisers, dirt bikes, whatever. I haven't ridden it all, but I've ridden a lot. I've ridden new BMWs. I've ridden 1960s BMWs. I've ridden new Harleys. I've ridden 1950s Harleys, 1940s, even 1930s. I've ridden. Totally different. You are going to stand out in a crowd when you go someplace with an older bike, no matter what it is. Older British, older Japanese, older Italian, uh, older American, whatever. You are going to stand out in a crowd with it because it's something that people don't see every day. And that being said, you could have a guy who goes out and buys a brand new Ducati, whatever, spends, 50, 60, 70 grand, whatever. And, it's a neat bike and people are going to be looking at it. But at the same time, you have a guy show up with a early 70s Ducati 750 SS pedal drive. People are going to naturally be more drawn towards the older bike just because it sounds different and something they haven't seen. They haven't seen in person. Maybe they've never actually heard of one. That happens. I had a chance to ride a first year Moto Guzzi V7, probably mid 90s, somewhere in there, rode one. And, other than the drum brakes, it was a pretty neat damn bike. Made all the right noises. It had decent power for its age. Actually, had decent power. I think they put out more power then than they do now on the V7s. But go figure. Anyway, neat bike. Definitely stand out in the crowd. But, extremely expensive now. And face a lot of this stuff that's older, you may or may not want to ride it anymore. Like Price, Kawasaki Z1, all original. They're big bucks now. So probably not something you want to put a lot of miles on. Or maybe you find one that's dilapidated and you don't care that it's all original and you just want to ride it. Well, that's your prerogative. Not everything has to be original to be decent. Fun bike. Funny story about that. I had used to know a guy that drag race one original. He bought it new in '73, and guys used to kid him about it because he's like, "It's all original. It's all original." And he drag raced it. It's for the most part all original, except for the wheel and the extended swing arm a little bit. Not really long, but slightly. I think extended 4, 5, 6 inches, something like that. Setup was a drag bike. But used to get, man, I only got 25,000 miles on this bike. And other guy, yeah, quarter mile at a time. And he bought it in '73 and he'd been drag racing it all them years. And then he's proud to say, I still got the original front tire on that thing. Well, yeah, neat. I'm sure he's probably still got the bike, or maybe he returned it to stock and sold it. Problem with that bike is it had the cam journals in the head were worn out from whatever. So he would pack these things full of molly paste every week instead of finding another head and getting it fixed because just whatever. So he'd just take cam caps off and pack molly paste in there and run it every week like that. So I don't know when it took the head out like that, but it was. He showed me one time it was pretty bad. They were pretty wiped as far as the head goes, where the cam caps fit down on there and the boards were extremely distorted, worn out. But that's neither here nor there. So old bikes, neat. Yeah, you're going to have to source parts for them. And there are some places that specialize in parts for certain models of bikes, if they're still around, that you can find. I know for the Hondas is like CMN SNL or something like that. I think they're out of Holland. And there's other places where you can get vintage parts. Other than that, you're scouring eBay or scouring online for somebody who's got this specific little part that you're missing that you absolutely have to have. It might be cosmetic. It might be a switch or something that pretty much, switch you can wire up pretty much any damn switch. But certain things like the rotor for charging system on a CB, kind of expensive, and they are known to go out. So stuff like that, you can find it, but just be warned, it can be expensive, like everything else on the bike. And I'm just rambling now, so that's about it for this one. Just some things to consider if you're thinking about getting an older bike. Job cost at first, just to see how your $1,500 bike isn't going to cost you $6,000 to actually get on the road, which is very 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 easily done if you don't keep on top of what you're spending on them. And then you end up with something that you could have bought a new bike or one that's already done. Mostly, running restoration pretty much is what I'm trying to say. Running restoration works good. You know, it already runs, and it might need cosmetics, it might need maintenance items, but you're good to go there. Anyway, that's it. Hope everybody has a good week, and thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the shares, all that stuff. And everybody have a great week coming up. Thank you.